Today on Joe's Geek Show, we're going to be talking about Batman 89, issue number 3. What's going on, and welcome to Joe's Geek Show, the video series where we talk comics. And before we get started, if you're new and like to support the channel, you can do so by hitting that like button, clicking that subscribe button, and sharing. And with that, well, we have finally reached the book. The one where Harvey Dent becomes Two-Face. Written by Sam Hamm with art by Joe Quinones, colors by Leonardo Ito, and letters by Clayton Cowles. And so, this issue starts out with Harvey getting out of the burning building, having saved Drake, where he is heralded as a hero by everyone. So much that due to a scandal from the previous governor, it seems apparent that Harvey will be elected without any opposition. The book then cuts to a year later when Barbara Gordon visits Harvey in his office and reveals that Bruce Wayne was the benefactor of a small army of Batman. However, things become crazy as Barbara disappears and is replaced by Harvey's friend, Jerome, as it's revealed that this was all a dream and Harvey is being pulled from the fire by Bruce Wayne and Drake. Harvey manages to come to long enough to show that his face was damaged by sulfuric acid and then collapses. He's then rushed to the hospital as Bruce is bombarded by both the media and the police looking for a statement. Later on, he manages to get home along with Drake being shown to sleep in a van as he knew he was the reason the garage was burned in the first place. Bruce awakens the next day where he finds himself on the front page, the arsonists having been freed due to a lack of evidence, and Bruce offering Barbara to pay for the plastic surgery Harvey would need. Meanwhile, Harvey wakes up to see the version of himself from his dream that tells him it was all real and that every event has two possible outcomes, which can all be decided with a coin flip. The alternate Harvey soon disappears with Barbara, and now in the room where Harvey damages one side of his coin and flips to see if Barbara still loves him. Somewhere in Gotham, Batman meets up with Catwoman on the very rooftop they had their first fight. It starts off as a romance scene, devolves into bickering between the two, with Batman making jabs about her criminal activity, Selina revealing she has a shrink about Batman when they realize Gotham is now on fire. The issue ends with Harvey deciding on whether or not he should care about Gotham, the result being to hell with it. And the book continues to be okay, because as I've stated in past videos, one of the things that I find that this story has working against it so far is the pacing, because there's just so much information that it's wanting to throw at you. It has to do character deductions, it has to set up story elements, so we're getting a lot of really interesting information, but really not enough time to soak it in, which is a bit of a shame because I do like aspects about this book, such as Harvey's delusion at the beginning where he's sort of imagining things as he'd like it to be versus what actually happened. The reveal of his face deformation was also pretty well done, I think. Then you got concepts like Bruce reconnecting with Catwoman. And of course, there's the Easter eggs that I like to watch out for while reading these books, like during Harvey's dream, where it's, quote unquote revealed that Bruce is just financing an army of Batman, and we see a line of them, and it's, the Batman from the other films like Kilmer, Clooney, Bale, and even though his finger's on it, I'm pretty sure it's meant to be Ben Affleck. As well as the van that Drake was asleep in inside later in the book has a big old R that looks like the Robin symbol. And that's really what I'm latching onto here are the concepts rather than the execution of them. Like when it comes to Harvey's change into Two-Face, I mean, we did see some of those darker impulses from the first issue, where he held a gun to some of the apparent members of the Joker gang, and then he flipped a coin to decide whether or not he was going to shoot them. But at this point, the coin was still, heads and heads, which means he was never going to shoot them. But nothing that told me he was really struggling with any kind of potential psychosis. And for me, the best Two-Face origin stories are ones where he becomes Two-Face with a few underlying factors. For example, in The Long Halloween, he got his face scarred up, he had marital problems, and it was pretty much said he was dealing with some mental issues. And then even in The Dark Knight, he got his face burned, Rachel died, and he had to deal with the betrayal of the police, well, the ones that kind of helped orchestrate the incident that led to, all of the explosions and the deaths and the scarring, which gave him a feel of isolation so that when the Joker finally saw him, what the Joker was saying made sense to him in the moment. Because with this version of Harvey, it was more like everything was going right for him, and made it come off that the burned face was the main cause. And I think maybe if we saw a few extra things, like even him maybe being upset at Bruce for potentially stealing what he thinks was supposed to be his moment, rejecting Barbara, maybe losing his position as the DA, where he then just takes solace in a coin flip, leading him down that path. I mean, he goes from practically normal 1 minute to suddenly talking to an alternate version of himself. There's also the scene where Bruce got woken up by Selina's cat, and I'm just kind of like, okay, it made me chuckle a little bit, but at the same time, scenes like this are typically done and used in comedy films, and Batman is supposed to be a drama. So for me, it kind of broke the tone of the story, as I was like, okay, wait, what's going on now? And really, did we need to know that Bruce was having a wet dream about Catwoman? Speaking of Catwoman, yep, she's back in the story. She's back in Bruce's life after so many years, and they just start making out on the roof where they fought for the very first time. And it was done in such a way where at first I had to wonder if Batman was about to prove DC wrong about heroes not doing certain things. But then the conversation escalates into a full-blown argument between Selina and Batman, mostly Selina lecturing Batman about how he's going after, like, all these lower level criminals, but he's not going after, the people up top. This conversation also makes me think back to the last two issues, and it does seem like maybe there is going to be something to this whole thing with, Batman chasing the lower level criminals, and instead focusing more attention on, people in the higher up that are guilty. But we'll see what comes of that. And the arc continues to be what it is. I like some of it, I don't like some of it. Harvey's face I thought was really cool, it's Two-Face, it's grotesque, and it was a pretty solid reveal. Seeing Bruce in the Batsuit without the white eyes for a few panels also confirmed the fact that I really don't like the white eyes on the 1989 Batsuit. And overall, I'd say this particular issue is right on just about average, with some characterizations that I wish were a little more developed, especially since we're at the halfway point of the story. And with that, I'm going to score Batman 89 issue number 3 a 6 out of 10. So Batman 89 issue number 3. What did you think about this book? If you've read it, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. And if you liked this video, I'd love it if you smash that like button, share it with some friends, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and ring that notification bell for more comic book content. And if you're wondering what to watch next, consider one of these 2 videos. Alright, take care, have a great day, and as always, stay geeky.